good morning, Coach Kim. So somebody asked me to talk about the difference between foods versus processed foods, the difference, how they impact our goals, how they impact our body, how they impact long-term health span, lifespan, all of the stuff, right? This subject hits real close to home for me because my goal is to get you to your goal, but I don't want to just get you to a number on a scale. When I get you there, I want you to feel amazing, right? This to me is about longevity. This to me is about not just looking apart, but feeling apart. And this is about long-term optimal health. That is what I'm passionate about. So I'm going to break this down and I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. But this is a subject that I get really super passionate about. So bear with me. So there's a difference in whole foods versus processed foods, and there's different levels of processed foods. So whole foods are the ones that are closest to nature. They're going to come off or from an animal, from a tree, or from the ground, right? They are the ones that can stand on their own. They are the proteins from animal sources, steak, eggs, chicken, pork, beef, turkey. They are the vegetables. They are the fruits. They are the nuts, the seeds. Even I would say grains that are minimally processed. So wild rice, things like that. Then there is minimal processed food. These are the things that are processed, like flash frozen fruit, stuff like that, vegetables, putting tuna fish in a can, tomatoes in a can. And when you read the ingredients, it'll say something like water and salt, right? That's minimally processed. And those are okay. Those are decent. In fact, a lot of frozen stuff can be even healthier than the stuff that you find on the shelf in a regular grocery store because it's frozen right after picking. So it has more nutrients in it oftentimes. All right. Then there is more processed food, like things like lunch meat, things like sausage, pepperoni, cottage cheese, things like that is processed, and they may have to do some manipulating, but it is mostly the real thing. But like even lunch meat has added sugar and salt. All right. So, and then there is kind of the ultra processed Franken foods, the things that you don't know what the heck you're eating. Potato chips, cookies, candy, cereals, all of that kind of stuff, mac and cheese, all of the frozen foods, all of those types of things. And I do a lot of research and listening, and I will be posting a couple links that if you love podcasts and you want to go down the rabbit hole of this at a much deeper level, I'm going to send you two that are really super powerful. They may even have you second guessing what's in your pantry and in your refrigerator today. So these are the foods, and I love this terminology, and they use Pringles as an example. I haven't had a Pringle in forever, and I remember Mark brought some, I think it was on our last Arizona trip, so this is probably 2 years ago, and I had one, and it just left the inside of my mouth just coated, and I was like, what the heck am I eating? So I didn't eat anymore, but this was in this podcast, so if you listen to them, you're going to hear this, and they say that all of these Franken foods, or these engineered foods, are engineered because, first of all, they hook humans all the way down to little children. They hook their brains up to electrodes to figure out what supercharges and gets their bliss points firing at the highest. So I don't care what you're having. If you're eating something sweet, it has salt in it too. It has sugar, salt, and fat in it, because those are the things that light up our brains like a pinball machine and make us crave and want more and more and more. If you're eating something salty, trust me, it has sugar in it. Like I said, lunch meat has sugar in it. So all of them that have been processed have added color, added sugar, added salt, and added fat and about a whole bunch of other stuff, right? And then they usually break down the sugar so it's not listed as one of the number one ingredients. So they can break it down into hundreds of different, all the way down to sugar, alcohols, and stuff. So, and there's a trillion different names for it. If you happen to want the names for all of those, I will definitely print or post a list of the hundreds. But so those are the things that if you broke it down, and this is what the podcast said, and I'm like, oh, wow. If you took the Pringles and you smashed it up into a powder and you ate it with a spoon, trust me, it wouldn't taste as good. And then if you remove the food coloring, all of that stuff, they said, is a gray powder. Gray powder. So when we're looking at, there's all sorts of different levels of processing. So now all that being said, here's what I want to say. You can eat whatever you want. This is your journey. Now, will I urge you to eat whole foods? 100%, because I don't want to just get you there. I want you to feel amazing when you get there. I don't want just lifespan. I want health span, right? I posted on my main page about this 100-year-old woman that's in the gym cranking it out. If you get a chance, watch it, because it's so powerful. But anyway, there's a difference between lifespan and health span, and I want you to just not just look apart, but feel absolutely incredible. So that is the difference between processed food and whole foods. Now, when it comes to what whole foods do, they're going to always give your body and make it feel better, look better, give you the energy, reduce cravings, reduce insulin gushes into the bloodstream, which insulin is the hormone that says, hey man, store some body fat. And we want to regulate that. Oftentimes, and this is surprising to a lot of people, it's beyond the calories in, calories out, and it's more of what your insulin level is doing. And so if you're eating a lot of processed food, you are, just pumping that insulin into your body at a much higher rate, which can really cause and eventually cause insulin resistance. All right. So, but it will help with crashes, energy, all that kind of stuff. Whole foods, think of that as your new fast food. Think of it as shopping the perimeter of the store. That's usually where they're found. They're usually not found in the inner aisles. They're not going to be found at the checkout line, right? Load up on the things that are that come from a plant, not created in a plant. And I can't stress this enough, because not only will you get a much larger volume of food, right? That's the difference between, you don't have to eat less, just eat real food. And you're going to have such an abundance of food. And that's where the natural calorie deficit comes in, which is required for dropping weight and body fat. If you are ever in a situation where you cannot track, weigh, and measure, eat whole foods. Because I promise you, you can't eat enough broccoli to overconsume calories. You cannot eat enough apples to overconsume calories, or even avocados to overconsume calories. Now, like nuts and seeds, and make sure that they're raw, not the flavored, salted, processed stuff, but the raw nuts, right? Stay away from the granolas, which are just loaded with sugar, getting you to want more and more and more and more of it. So if you have cravings for salt, for sugar, if you start eliminating these processed foods, you're going to notice that will decrease. All right. Things like sourdough bread made from a bakery that you cut into it and it is hard as a rock the next day. That is much less processed than the oat bread in the bag that is labeled as healthy, and it's soft and spongy and it'll last weeks. And it's the sugar in it that makes it last for weeks. So don't be fooled by marketing. I posted last week about eat food that rots. And I'm dead serious. The more you eat foods that rot, the more the body fat is going to melt off your body, the more the cravings are going to disappear and dissipate, and the more vibrant, and energized you're going to feel, because it's not going to come with the sugar crashes and cravings. All right. So think about that. Go through your pantry. Look to see, go through your refrigerator. How much processed food do you have? Like, a lot of people say, hey, do I need the upgraded version of my Fitness Pal? I've been using the free version since the beginning of time, because I don't buy a lot of food that has a scanning bar, right? Broccoli doesn't have a scanning bar. Brussels sprouts doesn't have a scanning bar. And then there's a lot of fear around fruit, right? Now, fruit with fiber, berries, they tend to have a lot less natural sugar than the tropical fruits do, the pineapples, the watermelons, and things like that. Now, the only time you really need to watch fruit intake, because it does have a higher level of sugar, is if you are somebody with diabetes or pre-diabetic, right? Now, there is a difference. And stay away from the fruit juice, the orange juice. My God, that's just like pumping sugar in. There's nothing really real, even though the stuff says with pulp, all that stuff. They have to kill it. They pump all the nutrients out of it, then they add it back, and then they serve it to you in a big bottle that has you believing you're drinking orange juice off of a tree. It's not. Eat the orange, right? It's going to just be so much more satisfying with a lot less stuff in it. So, can you still eat those processed foods? Of course you can. Of course you can. But the less you eat them, the more optimally healthy your body will end up, the less cravings you will have, the more body fat you will drop, the fuller you will be, the just more energized you will be. Your body composition is going to change at a much greater level. And these things are on a cellular level, right? A calorie eaten is not the same thing as a calorie burned. So a calorie eaten, and what I mean by this, and I hate to drag on about this, but a calorie eaten in, because there's a thermodynamic effect of food. So a calorie eaten, like a chicken breast, you eat X amount of calories in a chicken breast that you grilled on the grill. Now, once your body is done processing that, and protein being the one that your body uses the most calories to break it down, that's another reason why protein's so important, because it keeps you the fullest the longest. You're actually consuming a lot less calories because of that thermodynamic effect of food, because of the work it requires for your body to break it down. Now, if you eat a bagel, you're getting all the calories in the bagel. You're getting all the calories in the chips. You're getting all the calories in the candy. Where, carbs are carbs as far as burning, but as far as eating, not the same thing. So quality of your fuel definitely makes a difference. Save those things for those special times. Don't make every day a day where you have to fight the urge to eat the cookies and the chips. Clean up your environment. Make it a little bit more challenging for you to be able to just reach into the cabinet, into the freezer, into your refrigerator for those processed things, that you just end up on that merry-go-round wanting more and more and more and more. So that's what I have to say about that. If there's any other subjects you want me to cover, I would be more than happy to do it. And I'll put the links down. Two of my very favorites. Dr. Mark Hyman is talking one, and Dr. Andrew Huberman is the other one. And they're both talking to different doctors. So these two are very, very powerful. Put on your headset, guys. Go out, get some steps in. This is literally what I listen to when I am working out. I don't listen to music. That doesn't inspire me. What inspires me is learning what makes our bodies tick, so I can pass it on to you. But if there's another subject you want me to cover, let me know. Go through your pantry. Go through your MyFitnessPal. ask yourself, holy smokes, how many items in this MyFitnessPal have a scanning bar that have been processed? Processed food. Think of each time you eat processed food as having dessert. How many desserts are you having a day? It's not bad to have one dessert a day, but if you're having 7, you may want to rethink it. All right? Have a great day, great week.